Welcome. I'm Janelle, a career mindset coach and actor.
And I'm Amanda Dubois, a self-authenticity and prosperity life coach and actor as well. And we're your co-host of Mindset Artistry YouTube channel,
where we teach you the art of discovering and using your mindset
to build a career and life you desire.
Welcome back to another episode of Mindset Artistry, where it's the space you can dive into personal growth, transformation, and stepping into the most powerful version of yourself. I'm your host, Amanda Dubois, and on the other side, we have the beautiful, the fabulous
Janelle Kolosky.
Every time I feel like you're delayed when you say that. You're like,
oh, I don't know. Like, what's my name? Co-host to the Mindset Artistry podcast. I'm Janelle.
And as you can see, it is a birthday episode. Woo-woo! It's April and it is our birthday. So we're going to celebrate and say happy birthday to us.
Yes,
so
a couple of Aries.
Happy birthday. And ironically enough, hers is the 1st and mine is the 4th, days apart. Aries love, Aries power. I'm here for it. So because it's our birthday, we wanted to take an opportunity to talk about what it means to live 365 days, not the year, but a year from your birthday, what that means, like starting anew, fresh starts. So as you all know, right, 1 year is 365 days, 8,760 hours. And that's how much time has passed since our last birthdays. And today, so I'm sitting here reflecting on one of the biggest truths I've learned, that there's no such thing as starting over. It's about starting anew. For the longest time, I thought change meant erasing everything and rebuilding from scratch, but life doesn't work that way. You know, every lesson, every experience, every heartbreak, every victory, every failure, it all builds on itself. So today I want to take you on a journey through the biggest lessons I've learned and we've learned in the past year, and what I wish I knew before 35, which I'm not going to give you my proper age, but it's somewhere around there. And why stepping into a new chapter is not about losing yourself. It's about finding the version of you that was waiting to breathe all the layers of yourself, bringing it to life. So whether you're in the midst of your own transformation, thinking about taking a leap, or wondering if it's too late to start something new, this is the episode for you. So grab your tea. I'm taking my coffee, take a deep breath, and let's dive in. So 365 days from the day that you were born, every year. We think about January 1st being a big thing, right? Oh, it's the first of the year. But every year we have something to celebrate. The fact that we're still alive and it's our birthday and we celebrate. Some people celebrate their birthday, some people don't. I don't celebrate it as like I used to. I don't got the stamina. Compared to my 20s, baby, I cannot be up until 5, 6 o'clock in the morning like I used to, breaking night, and then doing it again, sleeping for an hour, and getting up and doing it again. Like that is, baby, that's not, I don't know if my soul could take that anymore, to be very honest.
That's why I'm tired.
This is what rest is necessary. Restarts are necessary. So, and I used to think that if I changed direction in life, that it would meant starting over, and that if I left New York, I'd have to rebuild everything from scratch. That if I didn't make it in New York, that I couldn't make it anywhere. Growing up in New York, it was such a big thing, seeing all the shows and, just people, like, to me, it meant like if you couldn't make it in New York, how could you make it anywhere else? New York was the melting pot of success, the melting pot of culture, the melting pot of experiences and opportunities. It was hard for me to leave New York. And that was one of the biggest things that I had to overcome last year. And if I didn't make it there, then where would I make it? But the truth is, I was never starting from zero. I was starting with experience, with wisdom, with resilience. And then that changed everything for me. Every time we're faced with challenges, we have two choices. See it as a setback, or see it as a setup for what's next. And this is what the past year has taught me. And I learned that nothing is wasted. Not our pain, not our doubts, not our fears, not our failures or mishaps. Every single experience prepares us for the next version of ourselves. So I'm going to ask a question, and this is going to be a very interactive episode because we've decided that we're going to start asking questions, and we want you to get into the conversations with us and involve you in it. So I want you to take a moment and think about your life and when you thought you were starting over. What if you weren't starting over? What if you were just stepping into a new level? Drop in the comments. I want to hear your stories, but now I want to pass it on to you. Like, when was a moment where you thought you were starting over? And was it actually you starting over, or was it something that you needed to step into to level up?
The beginning of the pandemic, a lot of my modeling work slowed down, and that carried through for a few years, and that was scary. And I felt like, oh my gosh, I don't want to have to do things I don't want to do again. But then I reminded myself, well, I do have these other passions. And it's so beautiful out of that. I thought I wanted to get into nutrition, actually, to study nutrition to eventually help my brother with his autism one day, and myself, because nutrition, your gut health and all of that matters. But then when I went to speak to someone about the nutrition school they attended, she said, I think you need a life coach certification. I think you should start coaching people. And I'm like, what would I coach? She's like, I don't know. You've kind of been doing this modeling, creative business thing for years. I was like, okay. So then it wasn't truly starting over, because while modeling was a little slower, I got to get back into teaching. I have a teaching degree. I've worked in classrooms. I taught dance. I was a tutor from the 4th grade up, super nerd over here. And so it really wasn't starting over. It was revisiting an old passion that I had. And then we got to start this beautiful podcast together, where it started out, we were just having conversations with each other. And I remember listening back, and even if it could be something you were saying or something I was saying, I'm like, damn, that's good. Just like the stream of consciousness. So the coaching and the podcast, and it all tied back to things I had done before. So although it was new, it wasn't completely starting over. And I'm so grateful for that, because us doing this and the community that we've built and the people that we've met and the clients I've coached, it's added to my life in a way that, modeling hasn't been able to fulfill that part. And so I'm grateful that there was that space.
I love that for you, because I was just having a conversation with someone. This whole year has taught me again that nothing is purposeless. It's always purposeful. That has been my motto for the past few years, but especially this year, this past 365 days from my last birthday. Because here's the thing, I literally moved to LA April 1st, and I'm coming on a full year of April 1st here, and it's gonna be my birthday 3 days later. So for me, it was like really figuring out, what is this new journey for me? What does this mean for me? What skills and experiences that I've already had that I can cultivate, nurture, and build upon here? And that was really scary for me. That was really, really scary for me. So we're going to explore how to cultivate resilience, build sustainable growth habits, and reinvent ourselves in a way that aligns with your deepest truth. So stick with me, because I know by the end of this episode, you're going to have tools to start fresh, to be powerful and unapologetically you. As you know, we already talked about this amazing thing. So thank you for sharing that. Drop in the comments again. But what is reinvention? Right? What does that even mean? Reinvention isn't about waiting for the moment or for the right moment. It's about choosing to create it. And how many times have we waited for a new year, a new job, the perfect circumstances, or someone to give us a handout, to just tell us how to do it before we make the changes, before we even made the changes? And the truth is, every single day is a chance to start anew, is a chance to choose something different than we did yesterday. And so it's like psychologists call this the fresh and effect, which suggests that people are more likely to adapt new habits or set goals during meaningful time markers like birthdays or Mondays. So here's the real secret. You don't need to wait for a date on the calendar. You can decide right now that today is the beginning of something new. And last year, that was the beginning of something new. So instead of waiting for January 1st, do it on your birthday, do it twice a year. Try it new. Set new goals. Don't feel like you have to wait. Do it today, do it tomorrow. Every day is an opportunity to start anew. And so for me, one of the things that I learned last year and going into this year, this full cycle of, leaving, is that I was capable, even though I doubted, right? Even though I was going to a place where I didn't have like family, close family nearby, a bus ride away, a car drive away. I could do it. I can do it. And I did do it. I did everything that I thought I couldn't do. I did it anyway. So I decided in that moment that not only was I going to try, I was going to do. There's a big difference, because some people try and give up. Some people try and give up. We're not about trying. We're about doing it. Just do it. As Janelle and I, we're doing it. We're always in the background. You don't know, like, this is one of our things. Like, we're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it because we're getting things done.
Yeah,
Even
we're doing things.
We're doing the things, as we say.
Yes.
We're doing the things. We're doing it. And, even if it's one small step, I'm always looking at choices as an opportunity to step forward and align with my authenticity, my truth, my power, and where I want to see myself in the next 5, 10, 20 years from now. And it may not be what I expected in 20 years from now, but that's okay. As long as I'm striving towards something that is evolved. I'm not saying better, evolved. Every day is an opportunity for us to evolve. So now, talking about like fresh starts, what was like a fresh start for you? Because we're coming on a full year of our birthday. Crazy. What was a fresh start moment that you had from April 1st to April 1st of this year?
I decided to move full-time to the Poconos because my heart was in so much pain. I'm in love with Andrew, who's now my husband. But it was such a scary jump because I still work in the city, and it was super uncomfortable because I thought, how am I going to make this work? I don't want a whole apartment. That's the other thing. I was like, I'm not having an apartment. I don't want to have a space separate from my husband. That's so annoying to me. And I felt so scattered. That was the other thing. I was like, I'm tired of feeling scattered everywhere, lacking the clarity, knowing where my things are, buying double. And it's just like that has an impact on your energy. But I was like, can I do it? Can I really live in the Poconos and still have a career in the city? And it required me to rely on my community. I had to reach out to a group of friends and say, hey, I can throw you so much cash per night. I just need a safe place to stay. And I was like, this seems scattered as well, but it's not, because I come home. This is my home that Andrew and I have built together with our rabbit Fig. And that's what my heart was longing for. And I get to be in the woods and breathe, not choking on the smoke from a taxi, the exhaust, and come from a grounded place and just pack whatever I need in the suitcase. And then it becomes more of a fun adventure, and I'm leaning on community and staying with friends. But I just want people to follow their intuition. If you have like this, it's like my soul was sick. I was like, there has to be this change. And it was super uncomfortable, but I'm very happy that I followed through, because I was like, this is too much.
This is too much. That's so funny. I remember that whole journey and that decision making of like, I am finally going to just not have my own place and be with my hubby, my husband. And listen, me on the other hand, I'm like, I need my space. You have your space and I have mine. And I'm okay with that too. To each their own. So don't feel like that you have to have a space with your partner. Just saying. Putting out there, because I like my own space. Just saying. But I love that for you. And it's interesting because it was, as you were saying that, I was just thinking about, you have to know yourself. And that journey is so long. With every year that we pass, with every age that we evolve to, because, there's an opportunity for us to evolve. And we learn something about ourselves. We should never stop learning about ourselves. Ever. I was just having this conversation with my cousin, and we were just talking about the difference between immaturity, maturity, and wisdom. And I was like, she's like, well, people are immature because they focus on their emotions and they don't care. I said, well, that's not necessarily true. The difference is that immaturity is about someone who, one, knows that they have like either a bad habit or a lesson that they knew that they went through and are actively choosing not to change it. or actively choosing to cause harm to someone else through their actions and through their emotions. Wisdom, which is knowing I'm activated in this moment, but I'm choosing the evolved version of that emotion. That's the difference between wisdom and immaturity. It's the choices we make, knowing that, I have this habit of kind of ignoring and it happens, but in that moment, you're choosing to recognize it. You've accepted it, you've honored it, and now you're going, I'm going to choose something different. That's the difference between wisdom. And with every year that we grow or evolve, we have choices. These are these wisdom nuggets that we have that we can choose to be the 22-year-old version of ourselves, or we can choose to be the 35-year-old version of ourselves, or I'm not going to give you my age, but the 35 version of ourselves. And so again, choices, right? That is about also starting afresh, like starting new, is the choice that we make in that moment to go, I am going to choose a fresh thought. I'm going to choose the opposite. And that's what happened when I moved here. It was like, okay, I know I have all these experiences from New York. New York is my foundation. New York is as scary as it was to come out of my comfort zone. It's a part of me and it's never going to leave me. And that's the beauty, right? I never want to not claim where I've come from, but I also want to give myself the opportunity to evolve where I'm going. And I can't do that in New York. I can't do that in the same space of my comfort zone. It's like that, having a flower, or a tree and planting that seed in a small pot. It's only going to grow as big as the pot you put it in. But if you keep letting it grow and then changing the soil and putting it in something bigger and nurturing it, watering it, changing the soil, doing all the things that need to be done in that moment, and then switching it out again and allowing it to grow, it's going to be vibrant. And every season is going to change, right? Every season, just like the trees and the flowers and the bees and all the things, there's hibernation, there's rest, there's renewal, there's purge, and then there's growth, there's spring, like the spring equinox that we're getting ready to be in. Happy spring, everybody. It's time to bloom. It is time to start afresh. So, that was one of the things that it was really hard for me to let go of. It was really, really hard for me to let go of because I'm kind of stubborn, darling. I'm an Aries. We're very hard-headed. But as I've evolved and tapped into my wisdom, I'm choosing not to be stubborn in certain situations, unless it has to do with setting boundaries or has to do with my safety, not my comfort zone. There's a big difference. Safety versus the comfort zone. Comfort zone keeps you stagnant. Safety gives you the ability to do something regardless of the circumstances around you, So this is the thought, because it's happening. All these things are happening right now because I'm just so excited. Full year. I did it. I made it. I'm proud of myself. And it's recognizing and celebrating these small moments, recognizing and taking a moment to see how far you've come, to see what you've learned about yourself, to see what experiences taught you throughout this year, or this full life cycle. I'm going to say, like, your life cycle has taught you, and how you can bring that to the next year. What are your goals for the next year? Where do you see yourself the following year of your life cycle? So here's the beauty, right? So growth doesn't come without resilience, right? So challenges, failures, setbacks are not signs to quit. They're not signs to quit. Sometimes they're redirections, right? They're opportunities for us to redefine and refine our approach, refine what we think we want for our lives, right? Why are you laughing?
I just thought, and I'll talk about it later, about how I noticed a trend of how in the fall and the spring I'm brought to my knees.
Oh,
and how that builds resilience. But anyway, continue, because I was like,
listen, you're not the only one. The fall, listen, the fall, and I like that. For sure. Let me tell you, hibernation, fall, right? And the thing also about this too is, and about growth, is understanding that these challenges are to benefit you. They're benefiting you, whether you realize it in that moment or not. But you have to consciously say and subconsciously acknowledge that this challenge is necessary. This setback is necessary to shift. to maneuver, to get to the next step, because maybe this setback is just redirecting you towards an opportunity that is better set for you, that's better aligned for your purpose. Or it's a setback or a challenge or a failure. And I don't really believe in failures, more so setbacks, but a lot of people identify with failures. But it's an opportunity to go, maybe I need to focus on something else. Like Janelle did. She reached out to her community. When I came to LA, I reached out to the community that I had here. I allowed myself to go, okay, who do I have and who do I know that can kind of help me? And I'm not going to rely on that I'm 100%, but I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to get to know where I'm going. It gave me a sense of security. It gave me a sense of control just a little bit, and not a bad control. It gave me a sense of control knowing that I know my environment. I know where I'm going. I know who I'm going with. So it doesn't feel so out of reach. That is also understanding growth, and that's the concept of resilience. Resilience is your ability to adapt, to bounce back, to thrive despite the obstacles, despite the challenges. We are already born resilient. We're already born resilient, right? We just gotta keep believing that, because as kids, what do? We fall, we scrape our knee, we get back up, maybe laugh about it. Yeah, we cry about it too, but we always got back up. Society has told us that if we fall, that means we're incapable of getting back up, especially as women. We're constantly told what to do, how to do it, how we should, the roles that we need to play in life, the titles, And I had for a long time defined as one of the biggest things I also had to learn about this past year of growth for my birthday, is that I was defining myself by my titles: actor, creator, coach, podcast host. And I thought that I had to just be one thing. And I had to cut off everything else and all the other opportunities that I had to do, like digital marketing and producing and directing and writing. I was like, no, I can't do that because I already have this. There's not enough space for that. And so I was defining myself by these titles. I was defining myself by these roles. And I wasn't allowing myself to live simultaneously doing them. Now, I'm not saying to do it all at once. It's not possible. But what I'm saying is it's allowed to exist all at once. You can be the beautiful woman. You can be the wife. You can be the mother. You can be the actress. You can be the producer. You can be the director. You can be the digital marketer. You can be the creator. You can be all those things simultaneously. Sometimes you just need to nurture one more than the other, and that's okay. But I had to give myself permission to do that. And as I did that, I also started diving into, because Janelle knows, is last year, baby, I was really struggling with my skill set. It's like, I have so many skills. What do I do with it? I don't know. I forget my skill sets. I don't know what I'm capable of. I just happen to forget these things. I'm like, yeah, I worked in corporate, or I did this and this and that. Oh yeah, I did do that. Oh, okay. How can I use that? I literally forgot and didn't realize that that was my capital. That was my asset that I can transition into a job, an opportunity, a collaboration. So now I want to ask you this, because you have so many titles. You have so many roles in life. You're a model. You're an activist. You're a beautiful sister. You're a wife now. Once a girlfriend, now a wife. You a podcast host, an actress. Like, you are all these amazing things. What is your view on these titles or these roles, and how have you learned to transform that into your life, and either let it go, claim them, or let them live out the way they're supposed to?
I hadn't thought about resilience because of the fall and the spring thing. And then the juggling the titles is a big one for both of us. Something about the end of the fall. I don't know if it's coming into the hibernation that you were speaking of, but it's like, that's when my cars are breaking down, or like this thing isn't working out, or that thing isn't working out. And then the spring with the taxes that we've both been talking about. And it's just something about being really forced to look at your life and be honest about certain things. Resilience does come through that pushing past the uncomfortable situation. And one of my favorite things that my coach had me do, and now I have my clients do, is that day in the life of the dream life you want to have. But the step that people forget is if you're not that person yet and you're asking, what does this person do? How do they live their life? And that's not natural to you. You're going to have that resilience to break through the old mold, the old patterns, and the change that you speak of and how it takes you to that level. You can't keep doing this and expect this. You literally have to change who you are as a person, and that requires resilience. And so I love we're talking about this, and Amanda and I are really rooting for you, and having a brother with special needs and just coming from the family I come from, we don't have a lot of money. And so it actually just like, it makes me emotional to think about, like, I remember having a breakdown last fall and like, I can't do this. I'm not strong enough. And my mom, even if she wanted to give me money, she just can't. And that's okay. But she was just like, if anybody can do it, Janelle, you can. And that's all. That person believing in you when you can't believe in yourself. And just hearing my mom say that, and I had to cry and I had to scream and I had to punch pillows because I was just so frustrated. Because I'm like, I'm just so tired. I'm tired of evolving and growing. But she's like, but the person that you're meant to be and you're evolving and you're already becoming this beautiful woman that I admire, she's like, you can do it. And then it's just like, oh, the hero's journey. All right. And getting up again. And so Amanda and I are here to say, you've got this. If anyone can do it, it's you, and it has to be you. People could give you things, but then you're not going to find the way that you find it for yourself and the way that will strengthen you, because like Amanda said, I found that I could do it looking inside myself. So something I learned this year and I'm making Amanda cry. But yeah, and navigating make myself cry too, navigating the different roles. I have to ask myself, who am I doing this for in different times? Because I do love being the wife now and modeling and acting and co-hosting this beautiful podcast with Amanda and coaching people and all of that. But then it's really making sure that I'm giving Janelle enough space and time. Just the authentic version of who I am when you take all of those titles away. Is she grounded? Is she happy? Is she aligned? Is she getting what she needs? Because if not, she can't be all the other things. So that's something that I really learned this year. And it was scary for me because I've had this habit of going 90% for people because I get excited and I love people and I want to help. But just like my mom encouraged me, she's like, you gotta be able to help yourself and let people find their way. And when you're neglecting yourself, it's really hard to hold all those titles. So just really giving myself the space that I need to just be grounded and aligned with my own ideas is super powerful. And then you can be like, well, how does that fit into all these different roles? So that was a lot, but I think answering 2 questions, I guess.
No, that was great, because that leads me into what are the qualities of resilience? And you've really identified what they are. There are quite a few, but the 3 key traits that identify resilience within ourselves is that emotional regulation, right? It's recognizing that these setbacks don't define you. They don't have to define you. They don't ever. Even our past doesn't have to define us. Opinions from other people don't have to define us. It is our choice how we define who we are. And like Janelle said, identifying your authentic truth. What do you need? What do you want? What do you desire in life? What do you like to fucking do? Like, what do you love to do? It allows them to feel the emotions, but don't dwell on them, right? When we are able to be emotionally regulated, we acknowledge the emotion that's behind it. Talking about the maturity and the immaturity versus like the wisdom, we understand that this is what we as coaches are, and we're still doing it throughout our lives because it's going to continuously happen because we're in a lifelong journey and we're constantly evolving. But when we recognize and can take a moment and pause like Janelle did and acknowledge the emotion that's coming up right now, acknowledge it. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel jealous or, all these things, but don't define yourself by that emotion. When we take action in that emotion, it always comes from a negative intention. always, because it's not aligning with our truth. Our authentic truth and our alignment naturally when we're born is abundant, is joyful, is peaceful, is empathetic. We naturally are born that way. No baby comes out and like, oh, I'm angry at life. Like the elemental, when you have the anger, it's like no babies automatically coming out. They're crying because they don't know how to articulate what they're feeling. This is like a shocker. You got these bright lights in our eyes. You're like, what is happening here? I was just in the warm nestle of my mama's belly, and now I'm in this bright place. Like, what is this? Of course, it's shocking. But it's our responsibility to learn how to emotionally regulate. And that's one of the key traits for someone who has resilience. Because regardless of the fear, regardless of the doubt, we're still going to do it anyway. Even if it takes a little time, that's okay too, because we have to process the fear. We have to process the doubt. We have to process that. That's okay. Sometimes it's not done right away. Absolutely okay. But there is a moment that we decide to step forward. It's also, the second trait is the growth mindset, understanding that, using these so-called challenges or setbacks or failures are just learning opportunities. Is redirection again. They're not your personal shortcomings. They're opportunities for you to evolve and create strengths, create that resilience within yourself. It's understanding that you will always be growing and you're never going to know everything. It's impossible. And that's a beautiful thing too. Stay curious. That's also about the same thing about resilience, is staying curious within that growth mindset. And then the third is really purpose and meaning. Again, that goes back to authenticity and knowing your inner truth, is you have to anchor yourself in the vision of who you are, what you want to become, and what you're moving toward, and how you want to be perceived in the world. How do you want to act in the world? How do you see yourself in the world? Do you see yourself as small, as unnoticed, unseen, unheard, incapable? Then everyone else is going to see you as incapable. There we go, the thumbs up, right? Incapable. It happens, right? So we have to also go back and define our purpose. And something beautiful I saw over on social media recently was that, how do you know your purpose and calling? It's the thing that we lacked, or the thing that we needed most when we were a kid, that we learned how to give ourselves. That's what your purpose is. So if you felt unseen, but now you know how to see yourself, that's your purpose, to teach people how to be seen, how to accept yourself. If you felt unaccepted and all you wanted to do was be accepted as a kid about who you are, and you do that now, that is your gift to someone else, to show that they can be accepted for who they are. That's where I come from. My empowerment and transformation coaching comes from that. Because for so long, I didn't see myself. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know how to nurture and speak up for myself. And so when I discovered that and I learned how to do that for myself, I'm like, oh, I can teach people how to do that too. Great. It's learning how to reach behind us so that we can pull someone forward. I ask you, how do you currently handle setbacks? And what's one way that you can shift your response to the challenges in this next chapter of your life? This is something you really have to dive into. Take these moments. Do not be afraid to explore who you are, because then someone else will define you. If you don't claim who you are, if you don't claim what you want to do, someone else will define that for you. And then what happens? We get depressed, we get anxiety, we don't know who we are. We're walking through life like zombies, all these things. It's like, I didn't want to do this. This is so terrible. That's not what we want for you. That's what I didn't want for myself, because I did that already. Not that it wasn't purposeful. It was purpose. It served its purpose, because I was able to use these skills, like working in the corporate world, getting my degree in forensic psychology. All these things served something in my life. And if you see that way too, you also recognize that these hiccups, these setbacks, these places where you don't feel like you belong, they're serving something. They're bringing something to the root that you need to acknowledge, that you need to nurture, that you need to also challenge. You need to challenge these inner thoughts of telling you you can't, you won't, and you're not worthy of it. Challenge those thoughts. That's also resilience. Challenge the thoughts that tell you you can't do something. Always, right? Exactly. And so we're going to we'll wrap up this episode soon. But I also want, one of the most powerful things that you can do is to define who you're becoming, right? So not only will you acknowledge where you were, your past, but it's like, with all of that, who are you becoming now? Too often we focus on what we want to do, but the true transformation happens when we focus on who we want to be. What do you want to be tomorrow? You want to be someone that, inspires the world? Do you want to be someone that brings light to the world? Do you want to be someone that is a successful actress that collaborates with people? Who do you want to be? This is your choice. Again, do not let someone define this for you. Because the more you define it for yourself, the more you tap into that, the more you can stand in your truth and say, that's not me. I'm sorry, you got that wrong. Let me tell you who I am. And it's your choice how you take it or not. So here's a great exercise for you to figure out, what do I want to be, right? So I want you to grab your journal, or even ask these questions out loud, maybe when you're in the shower, maybe when you're in the pooper, because we're always kind of quiet when you're on the pooper, you're thinking on, right? I know most of the most profound thoughts happen either in the shower, on the pooper, or something, or walking, right? So use these opportunities, dive in, ask these questions. So 3 questions. If my higher self could leave me a message, what would they say? What would they say to you right now? And the higher self meaning maybe the person that's the evolved version of you 10 years from now, 20 years from now. The higher self that's not living in the ego. The higher self is let go of the pain and suffering and trauma and generational trauma that we attach to. The contracts, spiritual contracts that we've attached to and signed decades ago and years ago. This person let that go, voided these contracts, and decided, I'm choosing me and my higher purpose. What would they say to you right now? Secondly, what habits, mindsets, or environments do I need to let go of to become the version of me? Let me tell you, that was the one that hit me the hardest. It was the one that hit me the hardest, because at the end of the day, I was choosing to stay in these environments. I was choosing to stay in that small pot. It was no one else. It was me. Always. And then third is, what's one small immediate step that I can take today toward embodying this person? One small step. It doesn't have to be so hard and heavy. It can be one small step that I'm going to choose joy today because I've been in a rut. Great. Because one small step leads to a second one, a third one, and then bigger steps. Because your future self isn't waiting for permission. They're waiting for action, baby. They're waiting for you to take the action. Your future self isn't, and your higher self isn't waiting for permission. That's not what they need. They gave it to themselves already. They validated it for themselves, and they're like, I'm taking the action. I'm doing it anyway. Everyone said no, but I'm going to say yes to me, right? Is there a question that you'd like to add to this so that our audience can think about this as they are approaching this new version of themselves, this next chapter, this spring's awakening, this blooming season?
I would say ask yourself, how am I going to hold myself accountable to the future version of me? So I had to do that today. I got a message. And then I asked another question. And the response I got, the current version that's evolving and an older version of me would have really set me off into like really sad and angry and upset and rejection. And that feeling did come up, but then I've been working on grounding myself through breath, right? And asking myself, will this matter 5 years from now, and these things. But that's how I hold myself accountable, because I got that toolkit. And we're always talking about, man, it's got all these amazing toolkits, and we gave you tools today. Because the person I want to be, that's not going to rock them as much. But also viewing this person with compassion, because we're Aries, we're fire, we're stubborn, woo! But that person's allowed to feel how they feel. Thank you for showing me how you feel. You've released me, and now I can go be with people that align with the joy and the vibrancy and the we can all rise together type of community I want to be part of. But I had to let go of needing to be connected to anybody I've ever met and please everyone, because you spoke about safety earlier, which I love about boundaries. I'm a boundaries person. Because it's good. It's healthy for everyone. People think they're mean, but they're not. But find the safety within yourself. That is the biggest thing that I've had to personally learn over the past year. And if you weren't taught at a young age how to find the safety within yourself, then you jump out and then you're trying to reach out. The only way I feel safe is if I go 90% to make sure everyone feels comfortable around me, or I can't ever do anything wrong. I can't be human. Oh God. But if you do for me, it's breath work and just, I don't feel safe. Let me breathe and talk to that person. I've been hugging myself a lot, giving the younger version of myself the love and seeing her because she wasn't seen. And that usually resolves whatever. And then you don't feel the need to fix everything. So find the way to find the safety in yourself and hold yourself accountable.
Yeah, that's good. I love that. That's good. Yeah, a lot of inner child work has been happening for the past few months. I would say a couple of my clients, a lot of that, a lot of our rooted actions, our rooted choices, our rooted beliefs come from our childhood, come from our trauma. And we're not, listen, trauma doesn't have to be so dramatic. I think people tend to forget oh my gosh, a car accident, relax. Trauma can literally be something that was said to you that you've held onto and it traumatized you. And it disconnected you from your truth. It disconnected you from your joy. It disconnected you from your creativity. It doesn't have to be so dramatic. It's a bit traumatizing for us because it takes us away from, again, our natural born abundance, joy, creativity, and capabilities. And so I was working with one of my clients, and she was rooted in conversations of how her parents were telling her she's kind of crazy for being a creative person. It's whoa, do you believe that though? Do you believe that you're crazy for pursuing something that in your heart brings you joy, is passion, it brings collaboration with other people, expression, storytelling? Is that your truth? Because I want you to ask yourself, do you believe that you're actually cuckoo or crazy for thinking this way? No. It's crazy for them because they didn't get an opportunity to do it for themselves. And it's not that it's a bad thing. That our parents grew up in different circumstances. They had different opportunities. They had different mindsets. We get that. Generational, habits that they've passed on that they couldn't let go of. But it's for you to stand and connect with your inner child to go, maybe you're not crazy. Nurture that child. Tell her or tell them, have the freedom to be and dance in the room and be creative. Be a little crazy if you want to call that. Be a little weird if you want to call it that way. But find the joy. Reassociate that crazy with something beautiful. This is a crazy idea, but let's try it. This is a crazy idea, but let's try. Even when we went skiing, I was if some people think skiing is crazy, it's oh my gosh, you can hurt yourself. You can break your leg, smash your face in.
Yeah, Amanda took out a sign, but she survived.
I sure did.
That was amazing.
Over a sign.
It was beautiful. Genuinely.
I don't know how beautiful it was.
It was oddly graceful, and I'm angry that I didn't film it.
Well, I don't know how graceful. I mean, listen, for me, it did not feel that way. Literally, it was oh my gosh, the sign is coming, but I don't know how to stop because I couldn't. And then I was leg over, and it was just this over the sign. And I was well, all right. Yeah, the sign and me just made some love. It was quite amazing. But in the end, here's a great example is in the end, even though that happened to me, even though that was a traumatizing maybe a moment for someone, I still decided to do it anyway. I said, because if I don't do it now, this is going to transition into every portion of my life. If I'm going to let fear control me, and this one aspect is going to control every aspect of my life. So try it. And I've done skiing before, but sometimes when you don't do something for so long, you develop this mindset, this thought that it's going to be crazy. I never done this. That happens to me. I don't know about y'all, but I tend to forget these things and I'm oh yeah, I had that experience. And then I'm no, I didn't. Oh, I guess I did. It's the craziest thing. Crazy, right? But if I had let that define that moment, I would have never had as much fun. We went up and down the slopes. We had fun. We were doing little tricks and learning. I'm let's do it again, y'all. I'm ready. But I didn't let that moment define that moving, that the step forward and conquering something that I had never had, even though I did, right? And that's also our brain trying to protect us from getting hurt, because I had done it before. But it had been such a long time that my brain was like, oh, this is scary. We can't do this. And it's like, baby, we did it already. Don't worry about it. You just gotta, grease the wheels, grease the mechanisms, right? So before we go, I want to really, and now I want you to share this too, is like, what are 3 things that you wish you knew before you were 35, right? 35, I'm gonna say it, right? So if I could go back and whisper 3 things to my younger self, these are the things that I would let her know. Is that your comfort zone is just a suggestion, not a rule. And there was a time when I didn't believe I would leave New York. I thought if I did, I'd lose my identity. I'd lose my strength. I'd lose my resilience. I'd lose my family. I'd lose my comfort zone, And turns out I was just scared of the unknown. And once I decided to believe in that, and I could believe and could leave, I did. Secondly, is that you don't have to have it all figured out to start. Just start. This is a perfect example. We didn't figure out this whole podcast back in the day when we started this. Janelle said it earlier. We just let's have a conversation. Let's talk this out. And we started going live and then we're like, oh, this is something. Great. We didn't have it all figured out. It was, the quality was crazy. But we learned and we started. So that pressure to be ready or to get it perfect is going to keep you stuck. So you don't need to have the perfect plan. You just got to start. Take the first step. And then the third is growth doesn't mean discarding the past. It means integrating it, what serves you, and then releasing the rest. It's that emotional regulation, right? It's recognizing that my past doesn't define me, but it's taught me things. It's taught me how to be resilient. So not every lesson from the past applies to the present. It doesn't have to, but some things were meant to be unlearned. Now, what are a few things that you wish you knew before 35?
Not everybody needs to understand you. You are enough. You know what you want. You know your desires. You know your thought process and why you do things and how you do them. So that's okay. Another one, it's tough because we've been around for a while. Trust that intuition. Now 10 years after dreaming and hoping I would work full-time as a model, sometimes I have to stop myself on, gives me chills, 7th Avenue and 42nd Street, and look where I worked at Ruby Tuesday. And I was living in a basement apartment in Queens with some stranger I met on Craigslist, and just getting by as a hostess with a dream and no business being there. I didn't know a soul. And now I passed that 4 days a week working full-time as a model 10 years later. But if I didn't sit with that and just believed in myself, and it was crazy, everything around me was saying, give up. You're not meant to do this. I even left New York City and came back a couple times. So good job. You kept going. Congratulations. And don't ever give up. And everybody that's listening, please don't give up. Your intuition knows. And the last thing, emotional regulation is your friend. Because nobody wants to feel like the crazy anxious girl. It stinks, but have grace with yourself. We all have our things, but it is our responsibility to learn how to regulate. And that is true. And it stinks, and you're going to maybe feel a little shame around these things that you have, but you don't want to rob yourself of the joy of life because you can't bring yourself back to the moment. So emotional regulation is your friend.
That's beautiful. And it just made me think and I'll say this, with one of my clients, she felt guilty for always being emotional, for always crying. And I was like, baby, there was a time when I couldn't do it because I was afraid, and I would do it quietly. And I thought that was a weakness for me. So as actors, as creatives, and as storytellers, that is the biggest gift that we have. We have this emotion that we can tap into, and what a gift that is. So many people hide. They don't know how to articulate their emotions. And I love that you said that, like emotional regulation, because what a gift it is to be able to do that. What a gift it is to be able to acknowledge that I'm feeling sad or angry, and then working through that, nurturing that, and not letting it define us or restrict us. So I told my client, cry away. It is also your body allowing itself to regulate by crying. It's releasing. You hold it in and you get angry, and then you got tension, you got ailments in your body. Unhealthy. So cry it out, baby. Take a moment, go cry in the bathroom. Cry. I cry all the time. I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm sad. I cry when I'm angry. I'm like, you know what? That is something I love about myself, because I know what it's doing for me. I recognize the benefit from it. And that's something I wish I would have taught myself when I was younger too, is that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to express yourself, and not everyone else understand it, like you said. I'll close it out with this, is that, and a little bonus for you is, before you wrap up, I want you to do a really powerful emotional clearing for you, right? An emotional release technique, at ERT, which is find a quiet place, sit in the stillness and take a breath. As Nell said, breathing is really beautiful for you. We always, for us, we always hold in our breath when we're angry. We're like, and then what happens? Our shoulders get tight, our stomach gets all queasy, and we're like, ugh, right? So when you take that breath, whatever that emotion is, breathing into it, you can name the emotion. It'll come up instantly. You'll know what it is because you're breathing and allow it to be surfaced. And then say it out loud. So you're going to find a quiet place. You're going to name the emotion, say it out loud. You're going to locate it where it is in your body, your stomach, your chest, even your head, your fingertips, the tensions in your, whatever it is. You're going to acknowledge and locate it, and then you're going to release it physically. You're going to either tap it, massage it, dance it off, let that energy off the fingers, the feet, or maybe lay down, whatever it is, but you're going to release it. Even if it's a physical thing that you have to do, you're like, get off of me. It's okay. Like, get off of me. I don't want you. That's okay. It's okay. Whatever you need to do. And then you're going to fill that space with an intention. An affirmation that's the complete opposite. I release what no longer serves me, and I step into this year with clarity, strength, purpose, joy, happiness, love, abundance, success, whatever it is that you are thriving to achieve or seeking to achieve. You're going to replace that with what you're seeking. And then you're going to journal about your experience. Because what happens is you're replacing that. So your body now knows the opposite. So whatever that emotion was, that block was, no longer has the ability to tap into that space easily. It can, but it's not going to be as easy because you replace it now. You say, I'm joyful, whatever. It is like, well, the anger is now pushing up the joy. Well, I can't get through. And then maybe it does get through and it's okay. But then that joy still is there. So you bring it back and you go, get the heck out of here. It's a simple yet powerful exercise that helps you clear emotional blocks and step into your higher self. So I just want to, Janelle, happy birthday. Happy birthday to everybody. Celebrate your birthday. Celebrate yourself. You've done it. Even if you think you haven't, you've done it, baby. You're starting anew.
We're here.
Starting anew isn't perfect. It's about showing up for yourself again and again and again. And you have 365 days ahead of you. How will you use them? And so if this episode resonates with you, please share your insight with us. Share it on social media, tag us, let us know what your thoughts are about this episode, how it resonated with you. Maybe it invoked something within you that you didn't like. That's good. That's good, baby. That's good. I know it feels weird, but that's good because that means that you now know it exists. Therefore, you can conquer it, tell it to shut up, or replace it with something else. And if you're interested we have a really free offer. We have a beautiful, beautiful 2 opportunities. So I am an empowerment and transformational coach, and I work with that emotional clearing, evolving, transforming through these challenges, as well as career stuff. But these are the things that I really nurture within you and allow you to step beyond them. And so I offer a energy clearing manifestation guide where it helps you, like one of those tools, it helps you clear these moments. When you are coming across something that's challenging, you have this tool that you can automatically go to and use every day. Every day. And so I offer that. And then Janelle, the amazing career mindset coach. Go ahead, girl. Let them know.
Yeah, I'm a career mindset coach for creatives. We like that free flow, but sometimes we got to get a little bit organized. So I help people organize their schedules so they're not only standing on the business because you're the CEO, boss of your creative career, but also making sure you leave time for self-care. And I have business email templates because a lot of times with my clients, they get that reel up or like they submit the audition and all of these things, but they're afraid to email people. It could be their agent or casting directors or even their peers. And so I got it all in a little PDF doc for you. Just plug and play. You just make it your own. And so I'm so happy that we can provide these tools for y'all.
Yes, and that's the point, right? So these two things come hand in hand. When you are afraid of sending that email, reaching out, tap into that energy clearing manifestation practice. Tap into that, clear it out, and then send. I just did this with one of my clients. I was like, why are you afraid to send your manager and request a submission report, submission list? What's going on? Let's talk about it. What are you afraid of? You've been with them for a year. Let's talk about it. And we talked it through. She drafted the email. She sat on it for a week though. And that's okay because it's scary. It's scary. And then I was like, all right, today's enough. Today's the day. We worked through some other stuff. And I was like, hey, what about that email? Boop. She was like, oh, I was like, you already drafted it, right? Send it to me. I looked it over. I said, this is great. Because that was a little bit of extra safety, right? So that was a little safe. Like, you check it out. Let me know. She sent it to me. Guess what? She sent it to her manager the next day. Actually, her assistant's manager. Here's some tools. Janelle knows this. This is why. Career mindset, like she's really good at this. She sent it to her, the assistant of her manager and agent, not expecting a response. Within an hour, she got a response. Baby, let me tell you. She was like, every other email I've sent them, they haven't responded. They were just like not. And I said, all right, don't worry. We're going to work through that. She was like, it surprised me. They responded. I said, there you go. It's all about the approach, baby. Approach and intention and letting go. You are the CEO of your brand, and that's what we teach here, baby. Empowerment. I empowered her, and then she had the email. Hand in hand, baby. Hand in hand. Just saying. But anyway, this is such a thank you so much for joining us for this episode because, again, this is a full journey for us as well. The year, and we are powerful beyond what we think we are. We really are. And so I want you to really take that in and know that and trust that and use that in every aspect of your life and knowing that it's possible. So thank you so much. Share your thoughts and we'll see you next time.
Bye. What are your thoughts about this episode?
Drop it in the comments and let us know what you want to dive into next.
Subscribe, like, share, and click the link below to book a free consultation. And
we'll see you next time.